From the very first day I walked into that building, I felt it. Not the excitement of a new job. Not pride. Not hope. Fear. It wasn't written on the walls. It wasn't in the air. It lived in whispers. Stay away from him. He's cold. Dangerous. He ruins lives. Every time someone said his name, their voice dropped. As if the walls were listening. Ethan Blackwood. The owner of the company. A man people described like a storm. Powerful. Unpredictable. And impossible to escape once you were caught inside. I hadn't seen him yet, but I already knew how people reacted to him. Shoulders straightened. Smiles disappeared. Laughter died mid-sentence. When he entered a room, silence followed him like a shadow. I was just an assistant in the finance department. Small desk. Small role. Small dreams. Invisible. Safe. And I wanted it that way. Days passed. Weeks. I saw him from a distance sometimes, walking through glass corridors, surrounded by people who looked important and terrified. He never smiled. Not once. His eyes were sharp. Focused. Like someone who had learned not to feel, because feeling once cost him everything. I told myself I would never be noticed. I told myself I would never be close enough to be afraid. I was wrong. It happened one evening, after everyone had gone home. The building was quiet. Too quiet. I stepped into the elevator, tired, thinking only about going home. The doors were about to close. When a hand stopped them. My heart dropped. Ethan Blackwood stepped inside. The doors shut. Just the two of us. The elevator moved. Then suddenly, it stopped. The lights flickered. My breath caught in my throat. Every rumor I had ever heard rushed back into my mind at once. My hands trembled. My chest felt tight. I could feel him beside me without even looking. His presence filled the space. Heavy. Silent. I was afraid to breathe. Then he spoke. Softly. You're shaking. I froze. That wasn't the voice I expected. I looked up, slowly. Prepared for coldness. For anger. For cruelty. Instead, I saw something else. Concern. Real, quiet concern. His eyes met mine, and for a moment the world felt still. I'm fine, I said quickly. A lie. A weak one. He didn't argue. He didn't step closer. He didn't make me feel small. He just nodded. The elevator restarted. The lights stabilized. The doors opened. We walked out, separately. But something had already changed. From that day on, I noticed him noticing me. A glance during meetings. A pause in the hallway. A look that lingered just a second longer than necessary. I told myself it meant nothing. But fear had started to shift. Fear became curiosity. And curiosity is dangerous. Because curiosity makes you look closer. It makes you question stories. It makes you see the man behind the rumors. And once you start seeing him, you can never go back to being afraid in the same way again. 2 weeks later, everything changed. I was called into my manager's office without warning. No smile. No small talk. Just one sentence. You'll be assisting Mr. Blackwood directly. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. This wasn't an opportunity. It was a sentence. Working with Ethan Blackwood meant one thing. Long hours. Closed doors. And silence that felt heavier than words. His office was different from the rest of the building. Bigger. Colder. Quiet in a way that made every sound echo. At first, he barely spoke. He gave instructions in short sentences. No anger. No kindness. Just control. He never raised his voice. Never showed frustration. That somehow made him more intimidating. I sat across from him every day, afraid to make mistakes. Afraid to speak. Afraid to exist too loudly. But slowly, I started noticing things. Small things. He stayed late every night. Long after everyone else had gone home. The city lights outside his glass windows would fade one by one. And still, he stayed. He drank coffee like it was oxygen. Cup after cup. As if sleep was a luxury he couldn't afford. And sometimes, only sometimes, when he thought no one was watching, his shoulders slumped. Just a little. Like a man carrying more weight than one life should hold. That was when I realized something. Power hadn't made him strong. It had made him tired. Then came the night I made a mistake. A small error in a financial report. But in his world, small mistakes could destroy empires. I stood there, heart pounding, waiting. Waiting for anger. Waiting for disappointment. Waiting to be reminded that I was replaceable. He stared at the report for a long moment. Then he sighed. Not angrily. Just tired. You work too hard, he said quietly. I froze. No one had ever said that to me before. Not my parents. Not my teachers. Not any boss. Work harder. Be better. Don't fail. That was all I had ever heard. But not him. That night, something unexpected happened. We talked. Not much. Just enough. About deadlines. About pressure. About responsibility. And then, about life. He told me he didn't trust people. Not because he wanted power, but because trust had once destroyed him. Someone he loved. Someone he believed in. They took everything. Since then, he had learned one rule. Never let anyone get close enough to hurt you again. As he spoke, his voice didn't shake. But his eyes did. And in that moment, the image shattered. The cold man. The dangerous man. The monster people feared. He wasn't cruel. He was wounded. And wounds don't bleed forever. But they do change the way you live. That night, as I left his office, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just working beside him anymore. I was beginning to understand him. And understanding someone you once feared is the first step toward something far more dangerous than fear. The truth didn't come from a confession. It came by accident. It was late. The office was almost empty. Only the quiet hum of lights and distant city noise remained. I was walking past his office when I heard it. Raised voices. Anger. Pain. His door was slightly open. I stopped. I shouldn't have listened. But something in his voice froze me in place. No, you don't get to call me now, he said sharply. I trusted you. Silence. Then, you took everything. My breath caught. This wasn't the calm, controlled man I knew. This was raw. Broken. I heard the word brother. Years ago. Betrayal. Money stolen. Dreams destroyed. And then disappearance. His own brother had done it. The call ended. And for a moment, there was nothing but silence. I walked away quietly, my heart heavy. Now I understood. Those walls. That coldness. That distance. They weren't arrogance. They were armor. Later that night, I locked myself in the office bathroom and cried. I didn't plan to. But grief doesn't ask permission. I lost my mother years ago. People think time heals everything. It doesn't. It just teaches you how to survive with the pain. I pressed my hand to my mouth, trying not to make a sound. When the door opened, I looked up. It was him. Ethan. He didn't speak at first. He didn't ask questions. He just stood there, unsure, like a man who had stepped into a place he didn't understand. I'm sorry, I whispered, embarrassed. I'll leave. No, he said quietly. Stay. That word surprised us both. I told him about my mother. About the empty space grief leaves behind. About how some losses never stop hurting. He listened. Really listened. And then, for the first time, he spoke without control. I don't scare people on purpose, he said softly. I just don't know how to be gentle anymore. His voice cracked. Just a little. I learned how to survive, he continued. Not how to love. In that moment, fear left my heart. Completely. I didn't see a powerful businessman. I didn't see the monster people warned me about. I saw a man who had been hurt so deeply that he mistook isolation for safety. A man who built walls so high He forgot what it felt like to be held. We didn't touch. We didn't move closer. But something passed between us. Understanding. Shared pain. Two broken pieces recognizing each other. And somewhere between quiet tears and soft words, my heart crossed a line. A line it could never return from. Because once you see the truth behind someone's darkness, you can never unsee it. And sometimes, the scariest thing isn't falling in love. It's realizing you already have. I tried to deny it. With everything I had. I avoided his gaze whenever our eyes almost met. I kept my voice calm. Professional. Distant. I reminded myself again and again. This is the man everyone fears. This is the man people warn you about. This is not someone you fall in love with. But love doesn't listen to logic. It doesn't care about rumors. Or warnings. Or walls built from fear. The more I tried to stay away, the closer my heart moved. I noticed how his voice softened when he spoke to me. How he waited, just a second longer, for my reply. How his eyes searched my face, as if trying to read emotions he was afraid to ask about. I pretended not to see it. Because seeing it meant admitting something I wasn't ready to face. Then came the storm. The sky turned dark early that night. Rain crashed down like the city itself was breaking apart. My car stopped in the middle of the road. No signal. No help. And then, his car pulled up behind me. Ethan stepped out into the rain without hesitation. "Get in," he said. I wanted to say no. I should have said no. But I didn't. The rain hit the windshield hard as we drove. The sound filled the silence between us. It was heavy. Loaded. "You're afraid of me," he said suddenly. Not accusing. Not angry. Just honest. I was, I admitted quietly. But not anymore. The car slowed. Then stopped. Rain fell around us like a curtain, separating us from the world. He didn't look at me right away. "I don't want to hurt you," he whispered. That sentence broke something inside me. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. "You don't," I said. My voice didn't shake this time. He turned toward me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then, slowly, he reached out and held my hand. No rush. No pressure. Just warmth. His hand was warm. Steady. Real. No kiss followed. No promises were spoken. But in that simple touch, something settled inside me. Peace. And I realized something terrifying. I wasn't trying to deny love anymore. I was trying to protect myself from it. Because love with him didn't feel dangerous. It felt like home. And home is the one place fear can't survive. When the rumors started, they didn't whisper. They shouted. They followed us through hallways. Through meetings. Through silence. People looked at me differently now. Some with pity. Some with judgment. Most with suspicion. They said I was using him. That I wanted power. That I wanted money. They said he was manipulating me. That I was just another name on his long list of control. The truth didn't matter. The story was already written. The board called him in. Closed doors. Raised voices. Cold words dressed like professionalism. End the relationship. Or step down. They thought it was an easy choice. Power or love. Control or vulnerability. Ethan came back different that day. Quieter. Colder. He avoided my eyes. That was how I knew he was afraid. He tried to push me away that night. "You deserve someone normal," he said, his voice flat. "Someone easy. Someone safe." Every word felt rehearsed. Every sentence felt like a wall. But I had learned something about him. His silence didn't mean indifference. It meant fear. "I fell in love with the man behind the darkness," I said, standing my ground. "Not the title. Not the power." He turned away. "And I'm not afraid anymore," I added. That was when he broke. Just for a second. His shoulders fell. The mask cracked. For the first time in his life. He chose love over control. He resigned. No speeches. No drama. Just a signature. and a door closing behind him. The man the world feared walked away. For me. And as we stood together, outside a building that once defined him, I realized something powerful. When the world turns against you, you learn who is brave enough to stay. And love, real love, is the bravest choice of all. We left the city quietly. No cameras. No announcements. No goodbyes. Just two people walking away from a life that no longer belonged to us. No titles. No power. No expectations. Only freedom. The city lights faded behind us as the road opened wide ahead. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel heavy. It felt open. Life became smaller. Mornings without alarms. Coffee without urgency. Silence that wasn't lonely. And in that quiet, I saw him change. Ethan smiled more. Not the polite smile he used for meetings, but real ones. The kind that reached his eyes. He laughed. Really laughed. At simple things. Burnt toast. Bad jokes. Moments that didn't matter to anyone else, but meant everything to us. I watched the man the world once feared learn how to rest. How to breathe. How to live without armor. And I realized something important. Fear often hides love we don't understand yet. Sometimes, what scares us isn't danger. It's depth. I didn't fall in love with him despite being afraid. I fell in love because I saw who he truly was. When the walls came down. When survival was no longer the goal. I fell in love with his quiet strength. With the way he listened. With the way he protected my heart without ever trying to control it. There were no grand gestures. Just presence. Just choice. Every day. And sometimes, late at night, when the world was quiet, he would reach for my hand. The same way he did that first night in the rain. No promises. Just warmth. And it still felt like home. People think love is loud. Dramatic. Dangerous. But real love. It's gentle. It's safe. It's choosing someone. Even when fear tells you to run. And sometimes, the man you fear most is the one who will protect your heart the best.